Hello, in this video, our main objective is for you to differentiate between two concepts of success. On one hand, there is success in leadership style, and on the other hand, there is the success of the leader or their group. In other words, the final results are achieved by the group. These are two nuances that I will try to convey. The difference because for me, it will be important in the context of this module of this video. First, let me briefly explain the sequence. We have leadership styles, which are behaviors, a set of behaviors displayed by the leader. These behaviors may or may not be successful, and the success of the leadership style is determined by whether you can modify people's behavior in the direction you intended. If you achieve success in leadership style, you can also achieve success in the group. In fact, group success is sometimes achieved even when the leader does not succeed in their behaviors. Because group success depends on having appropriate leadership behaviors, which is one of the influencing factors, but also on making the right decisions and influencing the behavior of others. In other words, you are trying to make people do certain things. But if the things you have decided they should do are not right, you will not achieve success in the group. And on the other hand, it also depends on external factors to the group. Factors that sometimes harm or favor the group's results regardless of whether you made the right decision or succeeded in influencing people to do what you wanted them to do. So one thing is the success you have in your leadership style, that is, whether you can transform the behaviors of your collaborators, yes or no, if you can transform them. Your leadership style has been successful, and then we have to assume that this leadership style, when it is successful if the other contextual variables are favorable, will put us in a position where it is much more likely that we will succeed as a group. It can be a precursor. It can be a drawback, or it can be an enhancer of the group's success. But these are two things that can be different in principle. I'll give you some examples to try to clarify these concepts. Let's start with the first one. Imagine a leader who manages to get the sellers on his team to focus on their work, make many more customer visits, and close many more sales deals. As you have managed to change the behavior of your collaborators, you have been successful in your leadership style. You have achieved what you wanted. However, many of these sales are not collected, or after achieving so many sales, the production department has not been able to produce, manufacture, and serve all the products or orders that were requested within the deadline and manner, so now customers are angry. Therefore, the group has not been successful. The company as a whole does not have a favorable situation. However, as a leader, you have achieved what you intended. Another example, imagine a rugby coach who manages to convince his players to finally go to the gym and increase their muscle mass. You have succeeded as a leader. You have managed to persuade them to overcome their laziness and go to the gym and work on their strength. However, they end up becoming slow and heavy players, which is not good for the dynamism you desire in your team. So you have succeeded in influencing the behavior of your players, but you made a mistake in the decision or did not consider other factors such as the type of training or the muscle group they should develop. A third example, a nursing manager who manages to get her nurses to finally stop using their phones during work, stop checking messages and focus on what they are doing, only checking their phones during breaks. With this, you have reduced errors in treatments, reduced waiting times for patients or people waiting to be served at the counter, and a general increase in patient and family satisfaction passing through the care unit. In this case, you have succeeded in your leadership style because you have managed to change deeply rooted behaviors in your staff, and at the same time, you have succeeded in your work unit, because the results you have obtained are in line with the objectives you sought or wanted to achieve. I believe that after these three examples and the initial description I have provided, you are in a position to differentiate what success in leadership style is, that is, having the ability to influence people's behavior in the way you decided, and differentiate this from the success or results of the group, which are things that sometimes happen or don't happen. regardless of the success or failure you have had in exercising your leadership style.